supported by Amin Scientific and Alternative Medical Hospital. Amin, God is our healer. My name is Nanisi Boatang. You can watch Maritime and Port News live on YouTube on Omanfm, and also follow us on 107.1 FM in Accra and in Kumasi on Ash FM. My name is Nanisi Boatang. Let's move straight to our stories this morning. The Center for Transport Security Dialogue, CTSD, has bemoaned the rising level of shipping line charges at the various ports in the country. In a statement signed by its country director, Kofi Asante, CTSD notes that Ghana has the highest port charges in the sub-region, and that is having adverse effect on businesses. Describing the development as unfair and worrying, CTSD cited the current model used in determining the number of free and charged period for the importer as a contravention of the Interpretation Act 2009. The statement further called on the government to intervene in the issue and bring an end to what it contends to be a short-changing of importers and traders. The Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area After Secretariat, Wamkele Manes, says full implementation of the agreement will help cocoa producing countries on the continent and add value to their cocoa beans to boost revenue generation. Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana and Nigeria account for 68% of the global cocoa supply. Collectively, they produced 3.4 million tons out of the worldwide total of 5 million tons of the cocoa supply between 2019 to 2020. However, Africa's cocoa producing countries captured just 3% of global chocolate industry revenue since they continue to sell the product unprocessed. Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire are the top cocoa producers in the world and responsible for producing up to 60% of the world's cocoa, but receives less than 6% of the global 100 billion US dollars processed cocoa market share. Now, to avert this, and as part of efforts to earn better income from the industry, both countries are considering value-added processing and marketing or trading of processed cocoa. In line with the above, Mr. Manes sought to address the problem during his 4-day visit to Côte d'Ivoire and solicited support to build a framework of Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana to further support cocoa value chain. After Secretariat says further reiterated the importance of mutual support between Côte d'Ivoire and AFTA Secretariat in advancing the interest of AFTA. Mr. Mane was in a francophone country at the instance of President Hassan Ouattara. If you just join us, you're listening to Maritime and Port News. In other stories, the Ghana Revenue Authority GRA has collected 25.89 billion Ghana cedis in tax revenue as against 26.1 billion Ghana cedis targeted for the period, resulting in a 212 million Ghana cedis shortfall. The GRA said it collected 18.45 billion Ghana cedis in domestic tax revenue and 7.44 billion Ghana cedis from the International Trade or Customs. Deputy Commissioner in charge of Research Strategy, Policy and Programs at GRA, Dr. Charles Ade, announced this at a media briefing in Accra when giving an update on the country's tax mobilization effort and measures undertaken to shore up the country's taxes. Assessing the average performance of the authority, Dr. Ade said it showed that the authority was hovering around 47.6%, which was above 46% recorded over the past 5 years. On the contribution of the various regions to the country's tax revenue, Dr. Ade said the Greater Accra region contributed 60.28%, Western region 5.2%, while the Ashanti region also contributed 4.2%. adding that the rest of the other 13 regions contributed to the nation's tax revenue. Contribution to the nation's tax revenue was very minimal. Dr. Dai observed that with the linkage of GRA's database to the National Identification Authority's database, it's discovered that 33,500 professionals, including medical doctors, engineers, lawyers, IT experts, had Ghana card but did not have tax identification numbers. The authority was therefore working collaboratively with the German International Corporation, GIZ, and the local government Decentralization and Rural Development Ministry to digitize and capture these professionals, as well as houses and properties being used for commercial businesses and residential purposes to charge the appropriate tax rent on them. He advocated the need to intensify tax education drive and enforcement mechanisms to shore up the tax revenue. If you just join us, this is Maritime and Port News. The Ghana International Investment, Trade and Finance Conference, GITFIC, has advocated the urgent implementation of harmonized trade finance policy reforms across the continent for effective implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, after Dr. Selassie Kofi Ekon, the Chief Executive Officer of GITFIC, said an increase in trade finance would ease cross-border trade, enable capital and information flow, attract greater foreign and intracontinental investment, and provide larger customer base for financial institutions to serve. Dr. Ekon said this at the 5th GITFIC in Accra on the theme facilitating trade and trade finance for after the role of the financial service sector. He said lack of access to trade finance had been an impeding factor to trade, especially for small and medium enterprises across the African continent, and called on Africa's leaders to address the situation to aid the implementation of AFTA. Dr. Kon said intra-Africa trade policies and the AFTA negotiations were expected to increase by $34.6 billion by 2022, equivalent to 52.3% above the 2022 baseline. Dr. Kon said the complete abolition of intra-trade barriers and implementation of trade facilitation procedures and AFTA were geared towards promoting regional markets as attractive export destinations, thereby enhancing the competitiveness of regional products. Mr. Com urged Africa leaders to strategize and develop comprehensive framework to drive economic growth through the implementation of AFTA. On that note, we'll wrap up this morning's edition and of course this week's edition of Maritime and Port News, proudly sponsored by the Ghana Shippers Authority. They provide you with the best in all your shipping solutions. You can contact them at the Shippers House in Accra, and supported by Amen Scientific and Alternative Medical Hospital. Amen, God is our healer. My name is Nanisi Boatang, my producer. Have a great Maritime and Port Day.
Yenso akwan suju medie hia mo man bia ankanko e de Ghana eku wiase ne de wiase so ba Ghana Shippers Authority ani so ade hu ne se ye bebo nso so adwadifo e wo haw bia wonam mu efri no ma ayra dia seye sika yaje wa emfa kwan so eni hawo hugo pin nya daje chen so so adwadifo eno ma eko se de be ya wo beti ase ye ni so ade hu ne se ye besom ni asom sompa Ghana Shippers Authority e wo Ghana Shippers House Ridge Accra.